So I'll try and get the ones that have been directed at Jim. Some of these are one-to-one questions, by the way. We'll try not to ask the one-to-one questions too much, because if you go in, I'm not sure this is 100% working. If you go into the app, you can literally press on the speaker and ask him a question directly to the actual individual. You haven't got to put it on the roundtable discussion.
Yeah,
However,
so you can individually message people as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andy, for doing that earlier. Andy Wood, wherever he is.
what, for individually messaging you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there you go.
So I'm going to walk over here because one of the questions is for Jim, asking about any name changes that might be happening. Considering this is Microsoft Ignite is going to happen in about 40 minutes, I don't know if he's going to give you a great answer.
Not that I know of, but yeah, I mean, Cloud PC isn't the name of the product, it's the type of technology. So other people could do Cloud PC, Windows 365 and AVD, there's no plans to change that. However, we're always looking at the two products. So, 5 years down the time, who knows what might happen? They might be a combined product. We might not keep them as separate. So, future's unknown.
Thank you. I don't know is the answer. Okay, so I'm trying to get general ones, right? So Mark Brown has asked, in a digital workplace context, where do you observe the biggest value for AI is? Mark then provides some examples, but maybe we could go round the ground. So let's start with Mr. AI over here.
Oh dear. Okay, let me think about that. I suppose one of the big use cases is obviously, and we're seeing it more, is in digital employee experience, because we have all this data that we've gathered, and AI is the perfect tool for kind of analyzing that data, trending that data, and then giving you kind of remediations for that. So that was kind of be the biggest one I see kind of to start with in EUC.
Just coincidence that your company does that, right?
No, it just happens to be one of the biggest use cases.
Anybody else
have it?
Yeah, go on. I'll do one. Is this on? Good. So we've started using AI. I'm quite a skeptical person. New technology frightens me. I'm in the wrong room. So we've started using AI, and I'm using it. So I don't know if you saw my demo, but I needed to create a corporate background. So I just stuck a question into AI and said, make me a corporate image. I put my name in, and it just came up with this image. And it would have taken me 2 or 3 hours in Paintbrush to do this and make it brilliant. We also use it for creating documents and presentations. It makes my life so much easier. The amount of work as a pre-sales is just up to there. You're up to your eyeballs, you're up to your fringe all the time in work, and it just gives me a bit more time when I'm working. It's that simple. It's just helps me out.
So you're talking about it from a consumer point of view.
Yeah, we use it as a consumer.
That's been said a lot. So
I can talk about it from a product point of view a bit. So as part of Windows Cloud, we're really going to concentrate on over the next 12 months on agentic AI. So
there may be announcements next week about that.
So if you think not of the large language models that you can ask any question, so you take a very tightly scoped piece of work. So then you can say, actually, that AI can be very accurate within that very tight scope. And if you could rely on the accuracy more than you can on the very large language models, then you can actually begin to trust it to take actions on your behalf. So it's not just giving you text or a picture back. You're going to be able to start to take actions. And once you get the prompt engineering right for those kind of agentic AI workflows, then you can start to do some very cool automation things just in natural language without having to go and write a script or anything. And then you'll start to see these more and more. And it almost won't look like your traditional, I'm going to open up a Copilot prompt or whatever. This will be just things that are naturally within the UI that will then, it will almost just become part of your tooling. You might not even see it. You might not even recognize it as agentic AI, that it's doing stuff in the background. So as certainly from a product point of view, that's where I see this going, at least in the next 12, 18 months.
Yeah, you could probably see things like, if you want to spin up a new desktop pool or something like that, it just, you voice activated like, Tony Stark or something like that. I'd say, you know what I mean? That's where we eventually get to. But
Because I would just walk past people's desks shouting, build 1,000 desktops. You know what I mean? That's the sort of the fucking idiots of them.
If you miss James's cynicism, because he didn't have a microphone, he said he'd just walk past people's desks and just shout, "Build me 1,000 desktops."
Don't we all do that?
Well, I can't. It wouldn't recognise me.
Anybody else on AI before we completely move away from AI, because we've already talked about it too much?
I think it was this time last year we had Brian Madden here at the EUC Forum, and he's been doing a lot of blogs on the Citrix website there about where we might take agentic and action-oriented AI, where we take our legacy enterprise apps that we've been running for 20 years on our Windows
still
hosts,
going to be running those legacy apps.
virtualize them in an environment, and then have that agentic AI, instead of interacting with an API to perform actions, it's using the literal user interface that our users have used for years, and that's all secured within that sort of Windows desktop as the environment.
What's the language your legacy's built on?
Well, I mean, that doesn't matter. It's isolated in its Windows environment. It's the AI is running alongside it in that virtualized environment, and
I feel like that though is a stopgap. Like that's not going to. Yes, that will at one stage, because the AI will just talk via an API to something else. Like it won't need a desktop at some stage. So, but yeah, I've read all of Brian's blogs about this, and I agree partially with him. But I do feel it's kind of a stopgap, and we will bypass that very quickly. And I think Brian has even kind of come around to that as well. And I'll be talking to him in a couple of weeks' time as well. So I'll get an update on that.
Good.
What? Yeah. Well, Microsoft just launched computer use as well for Windows 365. So yeah, it's definitely coming, and we've seen it in the browsers. They can do actions now as well. So that's going to have to be implemented. Probably could be running on Citrix or something like that, an AI browser as opposed to a standard browser. So yeah, we're going to see more and more. The agentic AI is definitely the big topic, I think, for full autonomous agentic AI, not like just some workflows, automated workflows. Sorry, Chris, you want to change the subject?
No. Well, while you're still going, you guys go.
Go on, Chris, I got one more point.
On this.
I'm now just an observer to the madness.
So
We've got. Were you going to say something else, John?
quick one, yeah. So we're getting customers asking us to move the AI out of the data center. They want to offload it like you're doing with unified comms, get the rendering of the unified comms out, but stick it onto the endpoint as well. They want to get VDI out of the endpoint as well, out of the data center. So moving the workload somewhere else.
I've definitely seen the rise of people talking about small language models. rather than large language models.
like you eventually will have a small language model running on your phone. It's coming. I know someone who works at Intel, and that's actually what they're working on at the moment. So
Yeah, which does make sense because it goes back to Jim's point of it being then contained in.
yeah, and the more specific you can get with it, the less it's going to hallucinate. Because if you're just giving it a specific task to do, and I think we will see more like in different industry, we'll see smaller models, like maybe in like manufacturing, it hasn't even taken off there. Like there's so much potential for smaller models to run, just run their manufacturing operations using their internal data, and it doesn't need to utilize public AI.
Anybody else before we do move on? We might come back. You might drag us back again. There's a genuine question here from Adam, and he's asked a question that a lot of customers ask is, what do people generally advocate? And I know the answer to this is going to be it depends, right? So that is your GAL.
All being consultants.
Right? What would people generally advocate when it comes to image management? Are customers, is your company advocating building applications into a gold image and making them available? or application streaming is the most prevalent version and what you recommend, or apps deployed with various other mechanisms, and he's called out 3 or 4 vendors that might be involved in that. So has anyone got new experience of application deployment, what they think the best practice should be, apart from the word "it depends"? Oh my God.
Build it all from code.
Build it from an infrastructure as code point of view, bring it down from whatever it is, winget or whatever it happens to be on demand.
Yeah, whatever repository you've built for yourself or whatever repository that you're going to use. But yeah, build it all by code. I don't really, I mean, people still maintain golden images now, but I think the day of the golden images slowly sort of getting away from us now, and it should all be built in automated fashions where possible from whatever repositories you've got. And I mean, I don't know if you've got lots of custom apps and things like that, but you'll still have installers for it that can be bunged into the likes of Intune and various other technologies. It's just my opinion, though.
Mm-hmm. Other opinions exist.
Yeah. From our point of view, we're a Microsoft house, so we run Intune. That mainly means we run base Windows images and we just install the software package for Intune. But I do like to outsource as much as possible. So we have some third-party providers like PatsMyPC, for example, that can manage your Intune repository of apps, update them when an update is available without you having to do it. That saves us a ton of work. And the standardizing on using Intune for device management, be it a physical device, be it Windows 365, be it whatever, makes for the fact that we only have to package an app once, irrespective of what platform it will land on. And I think in a world where we use SaaS before PaaS, before IaaS, outsourcing some of that boring stuff, like updating each package you have for each application every 2 weeks, it saves you a ton of work, and it allows you to focus on things that are more important or more productive.
Anybody else?
I can't talk from a vendor point of view, but I can talk for what our clients tend to want, which is more apps actually on websites so that they can access them there rather than just having them on a desktop. So more and more of our clients have been asking to move to web-based only. I don't know what impact that has.
Well, didn't we back in the day, when everybody did all their apps in IE 7 or 6, didn't they? We had this push to the web, but now it's coming back as more of a cloud service rather than everything just being wrapped up in a browser, I think is what we're driving at now, isn't it? As software as a service. And that's why a secure browser is on the rise, I think, because there's so much more SaaS out there than we've previously had before.
Okay, next question. It comes from a Mr. Andrew Wood. I read the pervasive bees of enterprise browsers, the pervasiveness of enterprise browsers. But given the issues at Land Rover and Marks & Spencer, it appears that privilege escalation and partner links and systems and obviously supply chain and all that kind of stuff can be overlooked. Is the focus in the wrong place? So as vendors, are we putting all this pressure on enterprise browsers and browser security, whereas actually it could be permissions-based or supply chain where the actual risk is coming from? And
yes.
Take that. Developers. Okay, good. Yes. Brilliant. Brilliant. Thanks for the great feed line, Andy.
You should never ask a question that says is a yes or no.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've got another yes or no. Nick Hall is not here anymore, but he said, is the issue with data sovereignty forcing businesses to go back on-prem? Before we answer that, has anyone in the room brought things from cloud back on-prem? For a customer, yeah? Because whenever I see surveys, the percentages are crazy high. But that might just be because people like saying it in surveys. So has anyone on the stage seen that kind of stuff? Data sovereignty means they've moved things back?
I have. Yes, I have seen that, but in my experience, at least in my personal experience, the only organizations I've worked with and done that were government organizations, moving away from Exchange Online, Teams, because America.
Isn't it the case that it's not happening rather than it's happened and going back? So a lot of people who haven't gone to the cloud are actually saying, no, I need to stick on-prem. Are you seeing any of that?
I hear a lot of organizations talking about moving back or not moving to the cloud, but I don't see them actually doing it. There are a lot of what-if stories and we should, or we might, but I don't see it happening that much, actually.
How hard is it to actually run Exchange on-prem now, though? Surely it's got to be a right pain in the arse.
Running Exchange specifically? Probably, yeah.
Email, yeah.
Anyone still got Exchange on-prem? Yes, of course you have, Nick.
I performed my last Exchange on-prem to Exchange Online migration 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, but that particular customer is a law firm, and they are not moving their case management system to the cloud ever, is what they say, ever, for data sovereignty reasons.
Even if it was hosted in like a UK data center?
Yep, they just don't want to do it.
The metadata potentially can still...
Yep, it's that they upload people's passports. They don't want the risk of that data being somewhere else where they potentially don't control it. I do see a lot of local authority in the Netherlands. They have a lot of on-prem systems that are government-based. They will never go to the cloud, like, flat out.
Germany's even more strict.
Yeah.
I think it's different regions, different regulations, like facade and what we can or can't, different verticals. This could be like an hour-long conversation as well.
Okay, Scott, go.
Well, are the right questions being asked? It's like, is this, you know, all the place so insecure, and yet you've left the back door open in those systems?
Well, exactly. Like, are we talking about, you know, it's just like a server room in an office which everyone has access to and stuff? Like, you know, if you're looking at that, then the cloud's obviously way more secure. So, yeah, I get what you're saying there, Alistair. It's, you know, is it a bit... Is there two different ways you could look at it in terms of, like, you know, are they actually looking at the issues when they come on-prem? Because obviously if you're running on-prem, then your electricity costs are going to go up. There's so many different options. Have they weighted everything up properly?
And in my experience, the organizations I talk to, and there's a lot of Dutch government organizations within that group, it's not about security at some point. It's about running your stuff in a data center, even if it's in the EU, from an American organization. And if someone in the Oval Office, or what's left of it, says, we're going to pull the plug, you don't have access to your data, or they get access to your data because they're an American organization. Even if it's in a European data center, it's still an American company. So it's not as much a trade-off for security as for ownership of the data, in my experience, yeah.
Yeah, there's a provider in France. I can't remember what the private cloud company is called. No, it's a different one. It's one used by government specifically. It's Blue or something along those lines. But that is specifically for government, and that is much more popular than any of the public cloud providers. It's a pain in the backside.
But for what reason is it a pain? Is it because it's different? It's French.
And more, apart from that, in the Netherlands, there are actually talks going on about building a national cloud specifically for government organizations or other companies that want to take part of it, and moving all the data from public cloud environments into that custom-built cloud. I don't see it happening because scale issues. But yeah, there are a lot of talks going on in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think partly it's because people want to say they're in the cloud, but they need to solve for the fact they don't want to put it into Microsoft's cloud or maybe Amazon's cloud.
In Germany, they are building a M365 government cloud now. So it's like a huge project. They tried this. I think the Telecom tried it a couple of years ago and completely failed. And now they are building a completely new one because parts of the government just said like, okay, we want to go more open source. So if open source is a better solution, well. And the other part said like, we want to use M365 stuff, but we cannot rely on like those normal Microsoft infrastructure. We want to have something on our own where we can pull the plug. And that's why, they have like a huge project now with those things, but still moving to the cloud.
Awesome, thank you. Last couple of questions. One, this is quite useful for all of you really to get your take on it. Matt has asked, with the rise of AI and automation, what advice would you give to a young person looking at a career in the end-user computing, AI and IT industry? Where would you begin? Where would you advise they begin?
Well, me and Lee were actually on a panel talking about this last week, and we did the average age of the panel. There was no one under 30, so it's not looking great. So we do need to invigorate EUC, but we also kind of talked about whether it's actually going to exist because...
Yeah, do it again. Do the poll again.
Yeah. Who here is under 30? Jesus Christ, I can't see with these lights.
Who here still got vision that means they can see more than 20 feet?
No, it's these lights up here. So that's what? 2? Was that 2? 2. 3. Okay. So that's
Just missed it by 8 months.
Oh jeez. So I think that's the thing we're facing. So what will we do? Oh God, that's a complicated question. Sorry? Yeah.
We are the next COBOL programmers.
Right. Yeah.
Dinosaurs.
Well, they're still around, and
But we're still around.
Yeah, I know. But it just seems like it feels like when the whole agentic automation thing really kicks off, it will be just that AI, implementation of all of the stuff we do is going to be so automated. But the roles, I think, will be more oversight rather than implementation and design. So it'll be like, because I always want that human in the loop. So AI systems are not going mental, ruining, absolutely. So I think there will be definitely a change in the type of roles within EUC in the future.
So if I would give this advice, obviously after the few people have seen my presentation, it would be like technical compliance, because this will, even if you have those automated tasks and AI is doing pretty much everything, there need to be like people who give like boundaries for those AI solutions. And if I'm just looking around, there's pretty much no one doing this. Or if you're going to the IT department and ask about like compliance stuff, they say like, oh, please don't. Just go away, go to the legal department, talk to them. But this is not like an IT topic, but that's completely wrong. Everyone tries to avoid that, and that's why would I say like just go for that part, because there's a lack of people, and this will be like even bigger, because in the end, you can do like prompt engineering and do all those things, but this is the more, let's put it like the more fancy stuff, where you have way more competitors compared to technical compliance.
Yeah, so what you guys seem to be saying is when we were getting into IT, we were fixing problems where there was a kernel mode driver destroying everyone's day. Those problems have all been solved. Automation is solving the desktop deployment itself. What you're saying is the new people arriving into the industry need to look at those surrounding technologies that help deliver success.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't only go for new people coming into the industry. It goes for everyone that's already in it. Roles are changing. A lot of technical roles throughout the organizations are not technical anymore. they're more sort of a business role. You have to be the link between what the business wants and what the technique can do. And if you look at AI and automation, that will only work if you know what the outcome should be. If you know what the business requirements are for that app or that desktop or whatever. So knowing the business and knowing what your end users want and demand, I think that's even more important than having the actual technical knowledge. Yeah.
Will developers exist though? Will you have developers? You won't have developers.
Vibe code
AI
cleanup people will.
AI is going to write the code. Yeah, we said last week at a different panel discussion there'll just be Vibe cleanup is now an official job title. So that'll be it.
Look it up on LinkedIn. It actually exists.
Yeah, Vibe coder, beginner, intermediate, cleanup.
Like literally, yeah.
The thing is, we have the experience, but will you need the experience? That's the reason we're on here, because we've done this for 100 years. And
I've got two 17-year-old sons, and AI has made them lazy. And when I was their age, I had to do all sorts of things on my computer just to get stuff to work. They just log into Steam and download it, and that's it. It's done. Yeah, they're retards.
God, he's back in my day. Right. Well, we need to move on. So thank you very much for your contributions, everybody. There were lots more questions than we had time to ask. So thank you for raising those questions. You all scored points. Thanks.
you can still answer individual ones between you.
Yeah. So
Interact.
find the people who you want the questions to be answered from, and just send a message directly.
Or we'll be in the pub.
Thank you.
Be in a pub somewhere, James.
You can tell them
A
the pub. You
pub.
can